वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरये।
ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्।
शृण्वतां स्वकतः कृष्ण
शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण
पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना
पुण्याश्रवणा कीर्तनः
विद्यन्तस्तो हि भद्राणि
रुधन्तस्थो हे भद्राणि
विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्
विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्
नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
देवकी नन्दनाय च
देवकीनन्दनाय च
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
So in the last week, we discussed up to 33rd verse. So Bhishma Dev was primarily in the last several verses, almost entire last class. Bhishma Dev was instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj on how to worship, how to perform the rulership. So he concluded that now he wanted to depart from this world, and before that he wanted to offer his prayers to his beloved Lord Krishna and also express his heart's desire upon the form which he was attached to. So he would express those details in the next few. So these are direct prayers to Lord Krishna. So I will start them 32nd onwards. These are the prayers of Bhishmadev to Lord Krishna directly. So the meter is slightly different than the regular meter of Bhagavatam. So we'll see how it goes. It's not exactly the Bhagavatam meter. Sri Bhishma Uvacha
श्रीभीष्म उवाच
इतिमते उपकल्पित वृष्णा वितृष्णति
कल्पते विष्णु
भगवती सात्वत पुंगवा विभूम्नि
भगवती सात्वत पुंगवे विभूमिनि
स्वसुखम उपगते क्वचित् विहार्तुम्
स्वसुखम् उपगते क्वचित् विहार्तुम्
प्रकृतिम् उपेयुषि यद्भाव प्रवाह
प्रकृतिम् उपेयसि यद्भावप्रवाहः।
Please read translation.
Bhishma Deva said,
Let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self satisfied, but sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world. Although from him only the material world is created.
So he used iti matir upakalpita vitrishna. Vitrishna means generally when we are in this material world, so many desires will occupy our consciousness. Vitrishna means free from all kinds of desires. Let me invest myself completely, my consciousness completely in you, Krishna. Upakalpita. Upakalpita means fully invest myself, my thinking, feeling, and willing. Mati. Upakalpita, invest in. With Krishna means free from all the sense desires. Let me fully focus upon you, my Lord. Bhagavati Satvate Pungava Vibhumi. Bhagavati means, O Lord. Satvata Pungave Vibhumi. Satvata Pungave means the leader of all the devotees. Satvata. Satvata means devotees. Pungave means the leader. So Satvata Pungave, who is Lord Krishna. Swasukham. Supreme Lord is actually self-satisfied. He doesn't need anybody to satisfy him. He's self-satisfied. Upagate Kvachits Vihartum, who is self-satisfied by his own transcendental pleasure. He doesn't need anybody to really satisfy him. But still, he comes to this world time and again. Which was again the middle world, which is created by him only. So he is described here as the leader of the devotees and all powerful. Although Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, he himself descends to earth to bestow upon his pure devotees the boon of devotion service. He descends sometimes as Lord Krishna as he is, and sometimes as Lord Chaitanya. Both are leaders of the pure devotees. Pure devotees of the Lord have no desire other than the service to the Lord. And therefore they're called Satvata. Pure devotees have no other desire other than serving the Supreme Lord. The Lord is the chief among Sattvatas. Vishnu therefore had no other desires. Unless one is purified from all sorts of material desires, the Lord does not become one's leader. Desire cannot be wiped out, but have to be purified. So desires are going to be there because that is the nature of the soul. Soul will always have desires. Only thing is, we direct our desires towards the Lord. Meaning, so instead of thinking of our own enjoyment, we will see how we can satisfy the desires of Krishna. Like for example, dressing nicely the Lord, decorating nicely, cooking nicely for the Lord. Right. So earlier we were thinking only of how I can satisfy myself. That is the way everybody thinks before actually becoming a devotee. But after becoming a devotee, now his focus is on satisfying Krishna. One cannot get rid of desires. One can only engage the desires in the service of the Lord. So we cannot be desireless ever. For the ordinary man who wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord only sanctions and becomes a witness of activities. But he never gives the non-devotee instructions for going back to Godhead. Right? So ordinary man, meaning any general living entity in the middle world, generally they're rebellious to Lord. They are here to enjoy for their own, according to their own desires. Right? They never listen to the Lord. In those cases, in those people's case, how does Lord behave? He's a neutral witness. He's like a judge. So Paramatma, the role of Paramatma is the witness. He's the witness feature. Right? What does witness do? Witness observes all the activities and accordingly gives good and bad results. Right? he will be sent to Yamaraj, for example, at the end of his life. So in general, Lord stays as just a neutral witness in the heart of Jiva. But in the case of a devotee, he does not just stay as a neutral reciprocator. Sorry, he doesn't stay as a neutral observer. He becomes a reciprocator in the heart of a devotee. So that's what Prabhupada is explaining here. That is the difference in dealing by the Lord with different living beings, both the devotee and the non-devotee. He is the leader of living beings, as the king of the state rules both the prisoners and the free citizens. For the ordinary jiva is like a prisoner, right? So the king would deal with both of them, but for the prisoner, king would be giving punishment, or it just is neutral. He's not reciprocated. But his dealings are different in terms of devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees never care to take any instructions of the Lord. Therefore, Lord is silent in their case. Although he witnesses all their activities and awards them necessary good or bad, the devotees are above this material goodness and times. They are progressive on the path of transcendence, and therefore they have no desire for anything material. Yeah. So that is why, for the devotees, you can check your horoscope, but it can be changed by the Lord according to how he wants to deal with you. So for an ordinary person, life goes exactly according to his horoscope. But for a devotee, it doesn't go like that. The reason is, devotee, according to his surrender, not for everybody, and it varies how much a person is dependent on the Lord. But one is not completely driven by his karmic account only, prarabdha karma only, because there is a simultaneous purification is happening, and the devotee is also trying to align himself as much to the desires of Lord. So it's not just according to his prarabdha karma. So you may see something, but something else may happen in your life. It's completely in the hand of Lord, right? Yeah, because like is mentioned here, devotee and non-devotee, Lord acts differently, because non-devotee never hears to Lord. He's just going his own way, fulfilling his desires. That is how most people in this world are. But devotee is always surrendered to the Lord. He's always submitting himself to the will of Lord. So the behavior, or uh, the uh, the reciprocation of the Lord is very different. So that's why he's considered the Sattvatapati, or Sattvata Pungava, leader of the devotees, because devotee always obeys the Lord. So Bhishmadev is also such a great devotee. Tribhuvana Kamanam Kamala Tamala Varnam
Tribhuvan Kamanam Kamalavarnam
Ravikara Gauravara Ambaram Dadhane
Ravikara Gauravara Ambaram Dadhane
Vapuralaka Kula Vritano Nabjam
Vapuralaka Kulara Vatana Bhajan
Vijaya Sakhe Ratirastu Me Anavadya
Vijay Sakhe Ratirastu Me Namadya.
Please read.
Sri Krishna is the intimate friend of Arjuna. He has appeared on this earth in his transcendental body, which resembles the bluish color of the Tamala tree. His body attracts everyone in the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. May his glittering yellow dress and his lotus face, covered with paintings of sandalwood pulp, be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire fruitive results.
Tribhuvana Kamanam Tamala Varnam. O Lord, your Tamala Varnam, your bluish hue is so attractive. It attracts Tribhuvana, all the three planetary systems. So it was Lord's form is attractive to all the living entities in various planetary systems, not just to the earthly living beings. Ravikara Gaura Vara Ambaram Dadane. And how is he? He so he's mentioned here, yeah, okay. Ravi Varakara, his dress is yellowish. It's a Varambaram. Even though he's in the battlefield, he's actually remembering the form of Lord in the battlefield. He was, with Arjuna as his Parthasarathi, and Bhishma was facing, and he's in the battlefield. So he's trying to remember this form. How is he? He's in a this bluish hue form, and has this glittering yellow garment, right? Which is very beautiful and attractive. Vijaya Sakhe. Vijaya Sakhe means Vijay Sakha is actually referring to friend of Arjuna. Vijaya. Arjuna is also referred to as Vijaya because he's always victorious in the battle. The reason Arjuna is victorious is because Arjuna is always with Krishna. Whether Krishna was physically present or Krishna is mentally present, meaning in the mind of Arjuna. Arjuna is always Krishna conscious. Meaning, if suppose some trouble comes, whether Arjuna or Draupadi, everybody, all of these Pandavas, for them, Krishna is on the top of their mind. They don't look at anybody, even Uttara Visa. So they always think about Krishna. Vijaya Sakhe means one who is always victorious, and the person who is always the associate of that victorious person, which is Krishna. So, Pratyastu, my attraction. So all these verses use this intense attraction of Bhishmadev to the form of Lord. This form of the Lord, specifically as Parthasarathi, we'll understand more. So you see, he's trying to remember Vijaya Sakha. Means Vijaya Sakha is actually the form of Parthasarathi. That is a specific form to which Bhishma was attracted as the one, as the personality of Godhead in the battlefield, fighting against him. Ratirastu, may my mind be completely absorbed and attracted onto this form. Anavadaya, again, no other distraction, without desire for any further results. Yeah. So here, interestingly, Arjuna was the one who put him down by shooting so many arrows. But Bhishmadev has no kind of any envy towards Arjuna. He was describing so sweetly about Arjuna. He was the one who put him down. There was no material in this whole episode. There is nothing material here. Actually, it's all on the spiritual plane because Bhishma was, there in the battlefield, fighting on the opposite side, all to fulfill the desire of Lord, to teach the world a lesson, and also to fulfill the desire of the Lord, actually to be on this opposite side. So, in that sense, he is always loving towards.
If you connect to it, you can also see what happens to your system.
I'll just mute everyone. Okay. May his glittering yellow dress and lotus face, covered with paintings of sandalwood pulp, be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire future results. So he was trying to remember the form of the Lord. Yeah. Can you read?
Nowhere in the universe are there such beautiful bodily features as those of Lord Krishna. Therefore, his transcendental body has nothing to do with anything materially created. Arjuna is described here as the conqueror, and Krishna is described as his intimate friend. Bhishma Deva, on his bed of arrows after the battle of Kurukshetra, is remembering the particular dress of Lord Krishna which he put on as the driver of Arjuna's chariot. While fighting was going on between Arjuna and Bhishma, Bhishma's attraction was drawn by the glittering dress of Krishna, and indirectly, he admired his so called enemy Arjuna for possessing the Lord as his friend. Arjuna was always a conqueror because the Lord was his friend. Bhishma Deva takes this opportunity to address the Lord as Vijaya Sakhe, friend of Arjuna, because the Lord is pleased when he is addressed conjointly with his devotees who are related with him in different transcendental humors. While Krishna was the charioteer of Arjuna, sun rays glittered on the dress of the Lord, and the beautiful hue created by the reflection of such rays was never forgotten by Bhishma Deva. As a great fighter, he was relishing the relation of Krishna in the chivalrous humor.
So Bhishma was he's a great fighter, and this is how he wanted to satisfy the Lord in this. So uh, he was in this special rasa with the Lord in the chivalrous mood, chivalrous humor. It's called. It is also one transcendental rasa. Just like uh, there is madhurya rasa, there is dhasya rasa. So this chivalrous humor is also virya rasa. It's a virya rasa between devotee and the Lord. And Bhishmadev was absorbed in this chivalrous humor. Right? So he was a devotee who gives pleasure through to the Lord through his chivalry. As a great fight man. So he addressed Lord as Vijaya Sakha. Vijaya Sakha. So Lord always likes to be addressed with his devotees, like Parthasarathi or Yashodanandana. So Lord likes to be called in relation to his devotees. That is how Lord relishes to be called. So that's what. And here Bhishmadev was addressing Arjuna, who defeated him. In one way, he defeated Bhishmadev. But he has no enemy. He was always loving towards Pandavas and specifically Arjuna, because he specifically loves Arjuna because he's very, very close associate of Krishna. Apparently, externally, it was a defeat. But on the transcendental platform, he has no complaint, no nothing to say against Arjuna, against this battle. It's all perfectly devotion service for Bhishma. It's a very transcendental understanding. They are not on mundane platform at all. Yeah, please read more.
Less intelligent mundaners who want to make a show of being transcendently related with the Lord artificially jump at once to the relation of conjugal love, imitating the damsels of Rajadama. Such a cheap relation with the Lord exhibits only the base mentality of the mundaner, because one who has relished a conjugal humor with the Lord cannot be attached to worldly conjugal rasa, which is condemned even by mundane ethics.
So some mundane people, they're only attracted to conjugal rasa with the Lord. So there are even today in some holy places like Madura and Vrindavan, there are these people, these are called sahajiyas. They talk, the relation between Krishna and gopis on the mundane platform, and they imitate also on the same idea. So that's different. That is not very. That's not at all pleasing to the Lord. Yudhituragarajo vidhumra vishwak
Yudhitaragarvacho vidhumra vishvat
kuchalulita sramavari alankritasye
kachalulita smramavari alankritasye
mama nishita sarer vibhi dayam vividhyamana
mama nishita sharer vividyamana
vachivilasa kavachestu Krishna atma.
tvachivilasat kavachestu Krishna atma.
Yeah, please read.
On the battlefield, where Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to dust raised by the hooves of the horses, and because of his labor, beds of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by me, sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go on to Sri Krishna.
He is a devotee in Kaivalris Rasa. So all his descriptions, all his prayers would be around that. Yudhitaraga Rajo. So when the horses were moving around in the battlefield, there is a lot of dust raised. So this dust sometimes covers the body, covers the hair. So when generally dust covers the hair, like suppose, we see in India, a lot of labor people work in the constructions, where there is a lot of dust. When the dust covers the face and body, they don't look at all beautiful, right? I mean, unless you have some appreciation for the work of the people, you cannot really appreciate the bodily features when people are covered by dust. But when it covers the Lord, it is very different. The experience, anything, when this dust covering the hair of Lord makes it even more beautiful, makes the Lord even more attractive. Kachalalita Sramavari Alankritasya. It becomes like a alanka. It becomes like a decoration. Anything on the Lord is like a decoration. Mama Nishita Sharer Vibhidhyamana. So when Bhishmadeva was shooting arrows on the Lord, those arrows were hitting the Lord, and some wounds are formed externally. I mean, Lord's body is transcendental. It's not physical, like made of material elements like ours. But externally, it appears to have been wounded. It is for the transcendental exchange such an arrangement is made. Otherwise, there is no pain, there is nothing for Lord, right? But in this Kaivalris spirit, such things will be exhibited. Right? There will be like wounds, as if he is like a ordinary human being. Yeah, and beads of sweat are wetting his face, because he was taking around the horse, and so naturally there is a lot of heat, and that causes some beads of sweat on the face. But he looks extremely beautiful in spite of all of this. Right? Let my mind thus go on to Sri Krishna. And these arrows, generally arrows cause pain. Right? If suppose you were hit by an arrow and you got wounded, it's a reason for pain. But for Lord, actually, whether as a devotee you throw nice flowers or as a devotee you throw arrows, it's the same. For Lord, it is the same experience. The blows and the arrows of Bhishma are like loving offering of flowers to the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is why, and Bhishma knows this. It's not like Bhishma doesn't know. So that's why he's saying they were enjoyed by him. So you can understand how Bhishma is Krishna conscious, how much, like, you may see Krishna, you may be dealing with Krishna, but do you know the mind of Krishna? Whether whatever we are doing, whether Krishna is happy with it or how Krishna is relishing. Because Bhishma is in this Kaivalras rasa, this eternal rasa, he exactly understands that Lord is being pleased by my actions of throwing these arrows to hit him and wound him. That is the reason for his speaking like this. They were enjoyed by him. My sharp arrows, which are cutting his body, were enjoyed by him. So while fighting on the battlefield against Krishna, Bhishma Deva was completely conscious and aware that this fight put up by me was actually giving a great joy, because Lord has this Kaivalras mode. He wants to show, the spirit of Kaivalry, and he wants to see his devotee in this relation. And so he perfectly knows that Lord is actually relishing this experience. See? And that is the desire of Bhishma also, to actually witness this form of Parthasarathi. See, Lord as Parthasarathi was not even visible as Parthasarathi to Arjuna, who is another great fighter. Right? So it is only this vision of the Lord is only available to the devotees who are the people who are in the opposition, especially Bhishma Deva. Yeah, please read.
Sri Bhishma Deva is great devotee of the Lord in the relation of servitorship. Thus, his throwing of sharp arrows at the transcendental body of the Lord is as good as the worship of another devotee who throws soft
roses upon
him. It is that Bhishma Deva is repenting the actions he committed against the person of the Lord. But actually, the Lord's body was not all pained due to his transcendental existence. His body is not matter. Both he himself and his body are complete spiritual identity. Spirit is never pierced, burned, dried, moistened, etc. This is vividly explained in the Bhagavad Gita.
We know in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when soul's characteristics are described, it is mentioned that soul cannot be pierced, burned, dried, moistened. So for Lord, his body and spirit, everything is same. So his body cannot be wounded through piercing of arrows. So some of the non-devotees get bewildered. So that's what is mentioned here. The apparent wounds caused by the sharpened arrows are misleading to the common man. But one who has a little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in this Kaivalras relation. Okay? Otherwise, why would Bhishma fight against his own Lord, whom he loves as his heart and soul, right? And wound the Lord? Can Can you imagine to be in that position as a devotee to fight against Lord and wound him? Because Bhishma is perfectly aware this is exactly what Krishna wants in his relationship with him. Right? So, as a devotee, he's being completely aware of it. He did what he did. Right? So, Lord was perfectly happy with the wounds caused by the sharp arrows of Bhishma. Right? The word Vividhyamana is significant because the Lord's skin is not different from the Lord. Right? It's spiritual in nature. It's transcendental. Because our skin is different from our soul. In our case, the word Vividhyamana or being bruised and cut would have been quite suitable. The Lord's body is not mundane. Sapadi Saki Vacho Nisham Yavadhye
Tapadi
Tapati Saki Vacho Nishyama Madhye
Nijaparayor Balayo Vatam Niveshya
Nijaparayor Balayor Ratam Niveshya
Stitavati Parasainikayur Akshnya
Stitavati Parasainikaya Rakshna
Ritavati Parda Sakheratir Mastu.
Ritavati Partha Sakheratir Mamastu.
Please read.
In obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Sri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that, Krishna.
In obedience to command of his friend, Lord Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. Even though the Supreme Lord is the source of everything, he is ready to accept the command of an ordinary, of course, he's a great devotee, of a human being, Arjuna. So that is how much Lord loves his devotees. Arjuna is a devotee and he is ready to accept the order. Lord is never an order supplier for Jiva, right? But to his devotee, he becomes an order supplier. Meaning he is ready to accept the commands of his devotee. So that is the merciful nature of the Lord. Right? He is the greatest personality in existence, but he is acting like a simple chariot driver in the battlefield. And you see here on the other side, there is Bhishma as the the chief commander. Here on this side is some other person who is the chief fighter or the commander. He is neither the chief commander, neither the greatest fighter. He's just a simple chariot driver. It's like a car driver, with the position of a car driver. Can you imagine like a president becoming like a driver for his own driver? Arjuna is like his devotee. Devotee means he's like servant, right? It's like president becoming the driver for his driver and taking the orders of his driver. See how the words of Bhishma are coming? In obedience to the command of his friend. He knows how kind Lord is, how loving Lord is. He's ready to be obedient to his own servant. That shows Lord's nature. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everybody, whoever was there, whether on the side of Kauravas or Pandavas, everybody left the world, and most of them attained their spiritual form after this battle. So that is why it is mentioned like this. Just because they were in the presence of Lord, by his merciful glance, he shortened the lifespan and sent them, gave them the liberation in the highest form. This was done simply by looking at the enemy. This is called Kripa Shakti. Lord, whenever Lord is there, all his Shaktis would be in play. So as soon as he saw his mercies upon all of them, and they were all liberated. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. So this Rati Astu will be continuously coming in all the Mama Rati Astu. Let my mind be completely fixed upon this. So now he's expressing how Lord was kind to everybody in the battlefield. Please read.
So from where, Prabhuji, like?
Yeah, here, the yellow mark. Can you see this? Lord, the Lord.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees, and Bhishma Deva was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjuna. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death.
You can see here, being a pure devotee of the Lord, how Bhishma completely understands every single action of the Lord. You see, these words are coming out exactly that way. Even if you are witnessing this whole Kurukshetra, if you are not that such a pure devotee as Lord, you won't utter the same words. So every word has such deep insight. We can understand how his heart is actually, what is there in Bhishma's heart. Right? He was fighting on the side of Kauravas, fighting against Krishna, shooting arrows on him. But in the heart, he has, see how, the words are coming. This is him. This is him. This is what Bhishma is. We need to understand this. Of course, we take, okay, Bhishma is a great devotee, but we need to see what's in the heart of this great devotee. Right? Because then we can see how far we are and what we need to change, so that we can, we can get to an understanding of what is like to be a great devotee, or what is in the heart of a great devotee. So then we can improve ourselves to get there one day. Yeah. So Lord never takes the orders of his servants, but he is ready to take. Yeah. Because that is how much he loves his devotees. Yeah. Continue.
Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjuna, his intimate friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstance because he is absolute, all good at all times.
So just by his presence, just by seeing the Lord, all the fighters who were assembled, they were all liberated. In the third canto, there is this beautiful verse that describes this. Tataiva chanye naraloka vira jahave Krishna mukara vindam netrai pibanto nayana dhiramam ardhastraputa padam apurasya. Certainly others who were fighters on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, others means who were in the opposite side, were purified by the onslaught of Arjuna's arrows. They were all purified. Pardhastra puta, Padam apurasya, means, purified by the arrows of Arjuna's arrows. And while seeing the lotus-like face of Krishna, Yah ahave Krishna mukhara vindam, Lord's face is like lotus, very beautiful, so pleasing to the eyes, they achieved the abode of the Lord. So all of them, just being present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they were all fighting, but all of them are actually, trying to catch a glimpse of Krishna, because he was so attractive. And Krishna is moving all around. All the fighters of both sides would catch a glance of Krishna every time they get a chance, and they were all. It was so pleasing to the eyes for everybody there. And ultimately, they were all purified, and many of them died, and they all went to Krishna Loka. Vyavahita pritana mukham nirikshya
Vyavahita Vitanamukam Nirikshya
स्वजना वधात् विमुखस्य दोष बुद्ध्या
Sajanavada Vimukasya Dosha Buddhya
मतिम् अहरत् आत्मा विज्ञाय यस् ज्यायाय
Kumatim Maharat Atma Vyaya
चरणरति परमास्य तस्य मेस्तु
Sharanarati Paramasya Tasya Mestu.
Please read.
When Arjuna was, go ahead, Matij.
When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction.
What are you?
So here he mentioned Arjuna was seemingly polluted. But actually Arjuna is never polluted. Right? Because Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord and he was a constant companion of the Lord. How can he be forgetful of his relationship with Lord? Right? But apparently he was despondent after entering the war field. So when Arjuna was in that way, he's confused and doesn't know what to do next. Lord took that opportunity and cleared his ignorance by delivering the wisdom of Gita. So that's what Bhishma Dev was remembering here. Right? And may his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. Yeah, please continue here. Yeah, it's muted if you're talking.
The citizens had no business in seeing what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether he be Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsmen on the battlefield for the sake of the empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military phalanx presented by Duryodhana, but as merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him, and thus he decided not to fight for worldly possessions. But this was due to a poor fund of knowledge, and therefore it is said here that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence cannot be polluted at any time because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as is clear in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Apparently, Arjuna's intelligence became polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted, conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by the conception of the false material body.
So Lord utilizes his devotees in various ways to accomplish his mission. Right? So like last week we discussed, so Lord, this is an arrangement of the Lord whereby Arjuna gets confused about his duty, and Lord uses Arjuna as a vehicle to teach the world the wisdom of Gita. He does this all the time. He uses his devotees as the greatest examples to share the most important things, lessons to this world. So he did the same thing with Yudhishthira Maharaj was confused today, and now Bhishma was guiding him. Right? He wanted. So what is the goal of Krishna in this? He wanted to show how great is Bhishma. Right? So Bhishma fought on the opposite side. He was wounding Krishna, but by reading these verses, we know actually what is in the heart of Krishna, Bhishma. He knows perfectly well that this Krishna is the original Vasudeva, Adi Vasudeva, and he knows very well why he is fighting on the other side. A perfect understanding. Now, all these verses clearly tell how much devoted he is Bhishma to Lord. Right? He had absolutely no envy towards Arjuna, even though he was the one who is the reason for his current conditions. Right? He has no envy. He calls him Vijay. Vijaya Sakha. Yeah. So this is a very important lesson. Basically, when we become a devotee who is completely aligned to the will of the Lord, then apparently we may go through external difficulties, but Lord would use us as a perfect instrument to teach the world a lesson. In this case, Bhishma Dev was fighting on the other's opposite side and losing his own life, but to teach the world a lesson. And again, Lord reciprocates to Bhishma's sacrifice by bringing Yudhishthira Maharaj through a confusion and again glorifying Bhishma Dev, his character and his devotion to Lord. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam.
Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam.
Yatam adhikartum avapluto ratastha.
Ratam adhikartum avapluto ratastaha.
Dhritarata charano bhayacha chaladghur.
Dhritarata charano bhayacha
Harirevahantum ibham gatottariya.
Harirevahantum ibam gatottariyaha.
Please read.
Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly. Just as lion goes to kill an elephant, he even dropped his outer garment on the way.
So this picture of Parthasarathi was so dominating in the mind of Bhishma. Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise. This is what Lord is ready to do. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratignyam. So his own promise is, his own vow is, what did he say to when Arjuna and Duryodhana, both of them went to Krishna to ask to support their party? He said, I'll not be taking part in this battle. I'll be a neutral party. On the other hand, what is the vow of Bhishma? Bhishma said, so Duryodhana was at some point, he was, sarcastically speaking to Bhishma, saying that, Bhishma Dev, you are very, you have a very soft corner for Pandavas. Even though you are the greatest fighter in this entire battle, you're not showing your full prowess because you don't want to kill your Pandavas. You have a lot of soft corner for Pandavas and Kunti. So I'm sure you won't kill them. That's how he's speaking. So to that, Bhishma vows that, okay, Duryodhana, tomorrow you'll see my full strength. And, you can keep these 5 arrows reserved for killing 5 Pandavas. So like that, he makes a big promise. Does it mean that he's ready to kill Pandavas? Yes, he is ready. But he knows very well that Krishna will not let that happen. He's fully confident of his power to kill Pandavas, but he has more confidence in Krishna that he would somehow come and protect. He would be ready to break his own vow and protect his devotee. The vow is not to fight in the battle, but he's going to be ready to break his vow and fight in this battle. He knows that perfectly. That is why he's speaking like this. He knows all of this. Right? So, fulfilling my vow. What is the vow that he's going to? So he says, the vow that Bhishma says is, he knows very well Krishna would come. So my promise is either I'm going to kill the 5 Pandavas or Krishna would lift the weapon. That is his promise. So that's what exactly happens in the battle next day. Arjuna would be fully overpowered by Bhishma, Arjuna and all the Pandavas. And seeing the situation, Lord would come off the chariot, take the chariot wheel, run towards Lord Bhishma. He doesn't want to, he can throw from his place, but he want to make sure the chariot wheel really cuts the head of Bhishma. He's just rushing towards Bhishma. And Bhishma immediately surrenders to the Lord because his vow is fulfilled now, that he made Krishna break his promise. Again, this is a Kaivalrus Rasa. This is perfectly enjoyed by the Lord. So Lord was looking for that reciprocation. He's perfectly all right to break the promise. It also showed Lord's character that I am ready to break my promise, but I will never break my devotee's promise. See? So Lord is so loving towards his devotees. Is that clear to everyone? Any questions? So these are all very, very deep characteristics of Lord. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we don't understand these characteristics of the Lord, how much loving. So there is so much inner depth of understanding we'll get when we study Bhagavatam. You see, fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise. He got down from the chariot, took up his wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly. Just as a lion goes to kill an elephant, he went drop his outer garment on the way. You remember, Bhishma is just enjoying all of this. Even though he's in the battlefield fighting against Krishna, for him it is just pure devotion service. Why would he remember such details? Think about it. So that is the nature of a pure devotee. Right? He's just doing devotion service. Externally, he's just he's fighting all this battle and overpowering Arjuna. But all of this is a pure devotion service to Bhishma. Yeah. Please read.
The Battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time, in a sporting spirit, like a friend's fight with another friend. Duryodhana criticized Bhishma Dev, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna because of paternal affection. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate insults on the principle of fighting. Bhishma Deva therefore promised that the next day he would kill all 5 Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose.
Yeah, this is the background story we just discussed in brief. So Duryodhana was satisfied, he kept the arrows. But Krishna tricked, by tricks, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, and Bhishma could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. So he took a vow the next day that Krishna would have to take up the weapons himself. Otherwise, his friend Arjuna would die. That was the vow he takes. In the next day's fighting, Bhishma fought so violently that both Arjuna and Krishna were in trouble. Even Krishna was in trouble. But it's all Virya Rasa for the devotees. Right? So Arjuna was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishma the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. See, Krishna was thinking about pleasing his devotee. It's not about killing or not killing. He knows what will happen. Seemingly, he broke his own promise. He promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjuna, he got down from the chariot, took up on the wheel of the chariot, hurriedly rushed to Bhishma in an angry mood as a lion goes to kill an elephant. So what did Bhishma do when Krishna did this? Bhishma at once gave up his weapons and stood to be killed by Krishna, his beloved Lord. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Arjuna was saved. So Bhishma would not counterattack Krishna. He knows very well what is happening here. He would just surrender to Krishna, and Krishna would stop right there. So, but because Bhishma Deva wanted to see Krishna to take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created the situation, making Arjuna's death appear imminent. See, again, this is an arrangement of the Lord to show that he is going to keep the promise of Bhishma. Sometimes devotees make some promises, and Krishna would need to make all the arrangement to fulfill the promise. Right? So in this case, Bhishma made a promise. Either I have to kill Arjuna or Krishna had to lift the weapon. Understanding this promise of Bhishma, Lord chose to break his own promise and fulfill his devotee's promise. So that is the mood of Lord. See how considerate Lord is in every situation. See? So that's why it says in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya Pratijanati Namo Name Bhakta Pranishati. Go and boldly declare Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. He is not promising by himself, my devotee never perishes. He says, go and boldly declare Arjuna. Because he always makes fulfillment of his devotee's promise more than his own promise. He showed in this example, he fulfilled Bhishma's promise and was ready to break his own promise. Right? One may later on argue, hey, Arjuna, Krishna, we cannot believe in him because he says, he will be neutral, but he lifted the weapon. So that's why in that instruction of Baladev, he was very considerate. He says, Arjuna, go and boldly declare, my devotee never perishes. When Arjuna declares, the world very well knows that Krishna is ready to fulfill the promise of his devotees. Because Arjuna is declaring on behalf of Krishna, everybody can now trust, yes, Krishna would do anything to fulfill the promise that he has given to his devotee. He stood before Bhishma Deva to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel. He had taken up the wheel. See, he doesn't care for his own glory. Let his glory go away. It doesn't matter for Lord, right? But his devotee's promise should be fulfilled. See, so that is the heart of Lord. Right? He is like a a father who want to see his child's glory always more than his own glory. That is the nature of the Lord. He always repeats this behavior in various situations in relation to his devotees. So, and this thing is perfectly known to Bhishma, right? So, people who just read Mahabharata, they really get nothing. So this is all wisdom specifically coming from Bhagavatam. सीता विसीकहतो विशीर्णतं सा
सीता विशीकहतो विशीर्णदंसा
क्षतज परिप्लुत अतायिनो मे अततायिनो
ततजा परिप्लुता आततायिनो मे
वृषभम् अभिससार वधार्थम्
प्रसभम् अभिससारमद्वधार्तम्
स भवतु मे भगवान् गतिर्मुकुन्दा
सा भवतु मे भगवान् गतिर्मुकुन्दा
May he, I'm not hearing if you're muted.
May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds.
His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. Right? It's not an external display. Lord's body would never be wounded. He perfectly knows. Bhishma also perfectly knows that Lord's body is transcendental.
The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm him because he is Ajita or unconquerable. But still, he takes pleasure when his pure devotees beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from a superior position, although no one can be superior to the Lord. These are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings of the devotee with the Lord. And those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Bhishma Deva played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely pierced the body of the Lord so that to the common eyes it appeared that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non devotees. The all spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhishma Deva would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhishma Deva been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhishma Deva with blood and wounds. But he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa or relations between the Lord and the servitor.
Mm.
By such
So,
dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions.
so in this case, Bhishma Dev and Lord were related in Virya Rasa. Virya Rasa. For example, in the Dasya Rasa, right? In the temple, the pujari was in a Dasya Rasa. He decorates the Lord with garlands and jewelry and nice dresses, and he feeds Lord with nice boga. These are all offerings to the Lord, and that would please the Lord. He offers incense, chamar. He does all of those various offerings to the Lord. But in the Virya Rasa, the decorations on the body of Lord are wounds. It's the same relation. I mean, just like a Dasirasa devotee is decorating the Lord with various ornaments, the ornaments with which a devotee in Virya Rasa decorates the Lord is wounds. It appears it's not conceivable to ordinary understanding, but that is the reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. Right? If the devotee perfectly knows what he is doing and how his actions are very pleasing to the Lord, he is giving the opportunity to the Lord, to exchange this rasa with him. So he's not like sad, oh, Lord was wounded in his leg and there is blood, all of that. No, he's not at all. He knows perfectly well these wounds are nothing for Lord. His body is transcendental, and this is just external appearances, and this has nothing to do with the transcendental body of the Lord. Okay? So we need to understand on the spiritual plane these particular dealings. Yeah. Please read.
The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishma Deva. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded towards Bhishma Deva as a lover goes to a lover without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhishma Deva, but factually it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord.
You see, this is so, apparently nobody can really understand without Prabhupada's purport. Krishna was, charging towards Bhishma. Apparently, that is an angry mood, but actually, it is like a lover going towards his loved one. Because that is Virya Rasa. You have to understand completely, it's a very different perspective of seeing this whole pastime. Bhishma was reciprocating with the Lord in this Virya Rasa, and Lord was reciprocating, and Lord coming towards Bhishma was an exhibition of this Virya Rasa. It's as good as a lover coming to his loved one. Okay? Yeah. But factually, it was externally it was appearing like Krishna wants to kill Bhishma, but actually it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. So these things cannot be understood by impersonalists, people who cannot understand the personality of God. Right? So this is the heart of Lord. Right? So only a devotee can understand these inner moods of the Lord. Right? So Bhishma perfectly knows. That is why he is praising. After doing all this battle, after doing all these wounds, why would he speak all this? Why would he say, hey, I want to remember your form before I leave this body? Right? Because he knows perfectly well who is Krishna, and he knows perfectly well the way he's engaged with the Lord is all about this, Veera Rasa reciprocation with Lord. That's all. It's all devotion service to Bhishma Dev. Vijayaratha Kutumbha Attatotre Dritahaya Rasmini Tat Shriyakshaniye. Can you all mute? Everybody is muted. At least some of you.
Hayarashmi.
Bhagavati Ratir Astu Me Mumurshor
Bhagavati
Rasmi.
Yamiha Nirikshahata Yataswarupam. Please read.
At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction to be Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death.
So he expressed clearly the form that he was remembering at the time of death. Even though in the beginning he said, I want to remember the Chaturbhuja form of the Lord. Remember, like in the previous classes we discussed. Tamalavarna, the Chaturbhuja form. But here he's speaking about remembering the form of the chariot driver, which is the Parthasarathi form. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left. He was managing the horses, right? So he needs a whip and a bridle rope. He was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. He knows very well that he is always protective of his devotee, Lord. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. They all attained perfection. Everybody in the battlefield. Because Lord's presence was there. Okay? So anywhere the Lord's presence is there, that work becomes a sacrifice. Okay? Because Lord was there, present in this battlefield, naturally the work of fighting became a sacrifice, and everybody attained perfection after the fight. So there is no loser in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, actually. Bhishma Deva was a pure devotee and marshal. He constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarathi is also at work. So the Parthasarathi form of the Lord. So in Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, Krishna speaks about how yam yam vapi smaran bhavan stajangate kalevaram. After leaving the body, one attains the form but that he remembers at the time of death. Whatever memories one has at the time of death, that is the form he is going to get. So apparently, there is a planet called Parthasarathi where Lord exchanges Veera Rasa with his devotees. So here, Bhishma Dev was remembering that form of Parthasarathi, because that is his rasa with the Lord. So, so he's a pure devotee. He's remembering this chariot driver of Arjuna form, Parthasarathi. And so this pastime must be eternal. the pastime of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the present house of Kamsa up to the Mausara Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like Pandavas and Bhishma are his constant eternal companions. Bhishma Deva never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, right? Which even Arjuna could not see. Because Arjuna was with Krishna, so he couldn't see the form of the Lord continuously. But Bhishma was opposing Krishna, so he was able to see the paths of the form. Okay. So we'll skip this. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking on the personality of Godhead within or without attains his Swarupa, which is the highest perfection of life. Our Swarupa is in the spiritual world, right? Our actual form. The current form is a temporary form on the soul. The body is just a temporary covering. Our real Swarupa is spiritual Swarupa, and that is only we can have that form in the spiritual world, not in the material world, either Vaikuntha or Golokas. So let's complete two more verses. Let's go quickly here. Lalitagata Vilasa Val Guhasa
Lalita Vilasa
Maya Nirikshana Kalpito Rumana
Nirikshana
Kalpito
Anukrita Vatya Unmadandha
Kratam
Prakritim Aganakila Yasya Gopa Vandva Vapa. Sorry.
Pratin Aganakila Yasya Gopavad.
Yeah. Please read, Prabhu.
Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motion and smiles of love attracted the demoiselles of Vrindavana, the gopis. The demoiselles intimated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the rasa dance.
Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Brajadama. Even though he was attracted to this Vijayarasa, Bhishmadev perfectly acknowledges that the love of the gopis is the highest. He knows very well. The damsels imitated the characteristic movement of the Lord after the disappearance from the rasa dance. So they were always remembering Lord's movements with them. Please read this part.
By intense study in life vessel of Vrindabhumi, attended the qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on the equal level, embracing him in nuptial love, smiling at him in joy, and looking at him with the loving attitude. The relationship of the Lord and the Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy for devotees like Bhishma Deva. But the relationship of gopis with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service.
Yeah. So Bhishma was praising the love of the gopis here. How many more? I think two more verses to finish this section. So let's read quickly here. Munigana Ripa Varya Sankul Pe Anta
Nrupa Varya Sankalpa Anta
Sadasi Yudhishthara Rajasuya Esham
Sadasi Yudhishthara Rajasuya Esham
Arhanam Upaped Ikshaniyo
Arhanam Upapega Ikshineyo.
Amadrishi Gochara Esh Aviratma.
Mamadrishi Gochar Esha
Aviratma. Let me read quickly. At the Rajasuya Yajna sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, there was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the god, the royal and the learned orders. And in that great assembly, Lord Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. So, Bhishma Dev was remembering some of the greatest incidents in his life. One of them was Rajasuya Yajna by Yudhishthira Maharaj after winning the battle, where they have to acknowledge one great personality as part of the sacrifice. Naturally, they acknowledge Lord Krishna as the great personality in the great assembly. So he was trying to remember the whole pastime where Lord Krishna was worshipped by one and all in the Rajasuya sacrifice. So because he was about to leave his body, he's trying to remember the most important incidents of his life. And they're all related to Krishna and his love for gopis or the Rajasuya Yajna. Tamimam aham ajam sarira bijam.
Tamimam aham ajam
Jam Sarthi.
Bhajam.
Hridi hridi dishtitam atma kalpitanam. Pratidrisham iva naika dharkamekam.
Patisham Eva Naikadarsam Ekam.
Samadhi gatosmi vidhuta beda moha.
Samadhi Gatosmi Vidubhuta Veda Moham.
Please read.
Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one.
Now he's just about to leave his body. He was just remembering how Lord is present in everybody's heart, including mental speculators. Everybody. And nobody is. Sun may be perceived differently, but sun is one. One can see sun differently. One can see sun as a planet, sun can as a disk, or sun as simply light. But sun is one, ultimately. I think that is the conclusion. Next, Sutta Goswami starts speaking. We'll start that in the next class. If you have any questions or any discussion points, you can spend a couple of minutes. I think these are all very pure prayers. So please, I recommend you all to go through this, because it reveals the heart of Krishna. How much he loves his devotees, how much he's ready to reciprocate with his devotees. It also makes us understand the great qualities of Bhishma. Otherwise, it's very difficult without Bhagavatam purports and Bhagavatam explanations. Very difficult to understand the position of Bhishma, who is fighting on the opposite side of Krishna. Right? So it is all in accordance with the will of the Lord. Okay. So if nothing